Pointed words about the migrant crisis at a community event on the Upper West Side on Wednesday night.
Yeah, they were the strongest comments we've heard from the mayor on the topic, and here's some of what he had to say.
This issue will destroy New York City. Staten Island is saying, send them out to Manhattan. Manhattan is saying, send them out to Queens. Queens is saying, send them out to Brooklyn. No, we got a $12 billion deficit that we're going to have to cut. Every service in this city is going to be impacted.
Here to talk it over with us is Upper West Side City Councilmember and former Manhattan Borough President Gale Brewer. So, Ms. Brewer, welcome back.
Thank you.
We saw you right there, sitting right on that dais behind the mayor as he made those comments. His harshest rebuke yet of the crisis. Was he right? Will this destroy New York City?
Well, you know, I've been here a long time, so we survived the pandemic. We survived 9/11. I was here when they were homeless on the street with Ed Koch. And I certainly think that this isn't going to destroy New York City. However, I'm also on the Budget Negotiation Committee, and I know how much every contract costs. And it is a very expensive proposal. It is interesting to me that Mr. Biden is not coming to 9/11 for the ceremony. And I think that's a mistake, because I think he really does need to produce funding, and he needs to produce temporary protective status, because everybody wants to work.
Right.
So I think the mayor's frustrated by the lack of money, the lack of ability to work, and the fact that he's going to have to negotiate. We will make sure that these services are not cut to the degree that he talked about. But the pandemic was worse, in my opinion.
Okay.
Yeah, I think a lot of folks in the city, though, are feeling like this desperation. How are we going to come out of this? What are your constituents saying to you?
They talked about mental health issues. They talked about affordable housing. They talked about e-bikes. They don't like them. They talked about the need for youth partnerships on migrants. So they're concerned mostly to what's on the street, not so much about the migrants. That's what came out of this discussion. However, they don't know about budgets in terms of what you have to negotiate. And I'm really familiar with the cost of this proposal, whether it be one by the Health and Hospital, Department of Homeless Services, HPD, et cetera.
So there's a lot of talk about the right to shelter, right? And what it means, because New York City is the only city in America that has this right to shelter. And there's a lot of talk on whether or not it should be a sanctuary city, if the right to shelter should go away because of what we're seeing played out on the streets. Where do you stand on that issue?
I don't want to be like San Francisco from what I see in the pictures. I don't want to be like Los Angeles.
Meaning 10 cities.
And people sleeping on the streets everywhere. So I remember that. That happened in Ed Koch because we did not have a right to shelter. We didn't have hotels. I saw people on the street. So I believe in right to shelter. I believe in more affordable housing. It's maybe a silver lining moment when everybody says we really have to work together to get this housing built. These migrants, I've met many of them, they want to work. These are families that have interest. Look, the good news also is the schools in Manhattan were under-enrolled. And now all these children are literally bringing funding and their expertise as families to the schools. So there's lots of nuances to this whole issue.
But there's a lot of volatility, though. I mean, you're hearing a lot of people living in this city very angry that they're here. Are you concerned at all about safety? Because clearly there's not enough space for a lot of the migrants that are coming in. They have no place to go. So we still see them on the streets with their families.
Right. I see them selling fruits.
Yeah.
And I see them in their mopeds, which are not legal, to be honest with you, but they're on them trying to work. People on my district, and at least I think many places, are more concerned about mental health issues, which are not necessarily the migrants. There are other homeless in New York City. They're concerned about people who are, not acting in a way, and they're concerned about e-bikes and getting hit. That's a bigger concern. Now, you do hear about Staten Island, and you hear about people complaining, but you don't hear about the fear of, robbery from the migrants. You hear about the funding, and you hear about the concern about the bikes and so on, but you don't. It's a different kind of fear.
Well, there's the thing, and that's your district. That's just your district on the Upper West Side, right? Because if you look at the new Siena poll that came out, 82% of New Yorkers, Republican, Democrat, Independent, said that they are concerned about the migrant issue, right? So when you look at the totality of it all, we know that the federal government hasn't really provided the funding. What do Democrats need to do when it comes to the southern border issue? Should that be a conversation?
Yes, I think absolutely, in the sense of if you're coming across and you're going to be going to Catholic charities, or are you going to New York, are you going to Minnesota? Why is it that New York is stuck and that's a word I'll use, with so many families, 110,000 individuals
Do you
have
believe
shown
other
up here.
cities, like you go to Chicago, you go to Philadelphia, right? They don't have a right to shelter. So after 30 days, you're told to move on.
Yeah, but I don't know how many actually do that. I need to see, because I know that people in Chicago are trying to figure this out, and Philadelphia is trying to figure this out, to be honest with you. I'm on the board of the National League of Cities, so I hear what's going on elsewhere.
Yeah.
So it's a little bit nuanced.
Right.
Yeah, but just real quickly, but you're also pushing to make it easier for the migrants to get work here.
They would be so happy to work. The women want to work, the men want to work, the kids want to be in school. They're wonderful students, to be honest with you, in the dual language programs.
Yeah.
And so these are families, for the majority, that absolutely would be an asset. Right now, many of them are working. If you talk to a restaurateur right now in New York City, oh, I'm so happy I have somebody in the kitchen. They're hiring them. Now, that's, of course, not with taxes paid and not with all the benefits that are better for the individual and the restaurant, because it is illegal. But they're happy to have, they had nobody in the kitchen.
Right.
I had friends who were owners of restaurants in the kitchen.
Yeah, I mean, as that fruit selling, you're seeing them pop up. That's not necessarily legal, but it's a way for them to make money.
Right, exactly.
Councilwoman Brewer, we could talk about this for a long time. It's a difficult issue,
Yes.
but thank you for coming on this morning. And thanks for the town hall.
Thank you.
Important.
Yeah, appreciate your time.
All right, everybody, and speaking of, this week on Picks and Politics, we're going one-on-one with Mayor Eric Adams himself. We're going to have an extended interview this Sunday on Picks and Politics at 7:30 and 4 p.m. to talk about the migrant crisis, his comments, clarifying some of those remarks, what exactly did he mean, plus a whole host of other topics: school buses, shortages, possible strike, education, crime in New York City this Sunday on Picks and Politics.